So for step 49, attaching the driver figure. Well, you can see we're going to grab our helmet from before, and then we're going to attach the body, the gloves, the steering wheel. It's all then going to be installed onto C4, and then C4 will be slid into place on the main chassis. Now you'll also notice that there are decals on his shirt, and there's also a decal on the steering wheel, and there's double-sided tape that attaches to the inside of his gloves and then attaches to the steering wheel itself. And you can see the sizing. Well, I have actually gone ahead and done the decaling just to make it easier. So there's our speedometer gearing, which is kind of cool. And then there's his shirt. So the decal's there. And I've also cut the double-sided tape to size, so we're ready to go. So there are all of the hardware pieces that we need. There's our C4 and everything else that we need here. So I'll set this up and let's put the figure together. So let's get his gloves on, I think, to start with here. So you can see that it sits on basically a sliding piece so that you can adjust his arms to what's needed. So if we grab one of the screws, put that down there. Actually, that probably is going to be easier if I do it this way. They're very small. There we go. So we'll screw his hand down. Now these are tapping screws and going into hard plastic, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about stripping anything. Once you get to the end, you'll know. But I'm just going to do it loose enough that I can move this around so I can figure out where I want to place the gloves. We'll have to do it the same way we did before. Now that it's on, let's just going to make sure that's going in relatively. There we go. Relatively level. So we can see that his hands are going to end up moving back and forth. So the question will be, where do we want his hands to be for this? Especially when you can see that the gloves will end up tilting onto that. And where do we want it? Because you see, when you sit this down here, it's going to sit on that platform like that. This needs to be able to sit down at the bottom. But I guess it doesn't really matter. If we've got the placement of his arms correct, as you can see there, it shouldn't matter where that sits, come to think of it. So, well, let's do it. Let's see what we can do here. So we know, and it's showing it the way that's showing it right now, we know that that's going to have to sit on either side. Somewhere like that. Well, let's just do the one side. I'm going to undo this. I'm going to make sure that this sits correctly in the gloves, just like that so you can see his double-sided tape. Do the same thing with the other side. Make sure that it's going to at least be wrapped somewhere in his fingers. There we go. So there's our double-sided tape on the inside of his gloves. So now knowing that, this is going to end up sitting somewhere like that. And if we grab the other piece, I just want to see how that will sit. Looks about right. Now that looks pretty level there. So knowing that, it seems to me that the gloves are going to be tightened up. Right at that spot. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so the gloves now are tight. And that feels actually pretty good. So knowing that, we now have his head to go on. So we're going to need to put his head on the top of there. And it's just through this one MB3 screw. So again, let's see what we can do with this. And remember, this is going through a nut, which is much better idea because it's really just going to be a matter of tightening this up, but you're not having to use a tapping screw or go through the plastic like in the usual style of the Tamiya heads. So let's make sure it's tightened up enough. Yep, that feels right. It's looking right. Okay, very, very cool. I quite like that. That is cool. Love it. Love his little dashboard on the steering wheel too. Very, very cool. So now that we've got this part done, and I know there are stickers, but I'm leaving that off for now. I just want to see how this is going to work. So we now know that this is going to sit inside, whoops, turn it around, inside there. And there are two screws, these MC6, that are going to come up from the bottom. And they're going into these plastic parts, these F4. And that's going to sit down there. Now they are showing you using a box wrench for this to hold it in place. Now let's just see. Yeah, I guess that is correct. So we'll hold that. And we'll screw this in. I'm just looking to see how that... Yeah, I think that is correct, but it's a weird design in one sense, but I'll show you what I'm doing here. I just want to try and get something started. Well, you can't. You definitely have to use the box wrench to be able to hold this in place. But you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it, so it looks like it just holds it in place. And same thing with the other side. Now I can tell that the steering wheel has popped out just because things have moved around, so, which is fine. I'll fix it in a second. There we go, that's on there. So with the steering wheel, I'm just going to move this up, let it grab again. That works. Very, very cool. So now he's attached to this C4 plastic base, and then they have the stickers. Now, the stickers themselves are white, and they say to paint them black, which I think is kind of interesting. Not really sure. I've not seen that before, but I think that'll be designed to cover the screws. I guess so. I may leave those off for now. I'm not sure that I want to put those on at the moment. I think I want to see how everything else goes together first before I do anything with the sticker, especially since it's going to end up having to be painted. So that's very, very cool. Love it. So for now, I'm going to call that done, because I can do these sticker things later if I really want to have them on there. For now, I don't. So I'm just going to leave it. Okay, so the last thing we need to do in this step is to put him into the chassis. So we're going to take the driver figure. You'll notice that there's a lip on the top and then the lip on the bottom. So you don't want to slide it under here like this. It needs to slide in over top, but the bottom slides in underneath. Now, I have cables under there, so it's wanting to pop out. But again, it's not under there. The back goes at the top. The front goes under that plastic lip. So the rear on the top, the front on the bottom. And that's it. So there is our driver figure in our fighter Nxgen. Very, very cool. So that means that step 49 is complete, and we're going to move on to step 50 and start attaching the roof parts.